I've recently been seeing a lot of new people trying out the Devil May Cry series for the first time, so I thought I'd make a very quick video on the basic core gameplay that's been present in all the games since Devil May Cry 1, as the games themselves aren't always the best at explaining some of the basics to newer players. I'm going to be using Devil May Cry 5 to show this off, as it's got this handy training room and a very useful controller visual down in the bottom left. The PC version uses the Xbox controller for its visualization, but the default button layout is the exact same across all controllers and even games. Now to start, the top button, Y, is your melee button. Apart from Devil May Cry 2, which is the bad one, this is the main way you're going to be dealing damage and raising your style rank for those S ranks. I'll get into inputs on how to do specific attacks later. The left button, X, is your ranged attack. These attacks do relatively low damage but let you stay at a safer distance. These ranged attacks are also pretty useful as a utility option, allowing you to float in the air for longer or quickly knocking enemies away from you depending on what gun you currently have equipped. The bottom button, A, is your jump button. In all games, Dante starts with the ability to wall jump for extra height. Though this is mainly used for platforming rather than combat, later down the line all of the games allow you to buy a double jump, which helps both in combat and platforming. Now, jumping is one of Devil May Cry's core defensive moves, as in every Devil May Cry game, going all the way back to Devil May Cry 1, you're completely invincible during the start of your jump. If you're ever feeling overwhelmed, jumping away is a viable solution, though be aware that once in the air, your options for mobility and attacking decreases a lot. Dante is at his best while you're on the ground, and this is especially true for older games where you have barely any aerial attacks or movement options in comparison to the newer games. The right button, B, is a tricky button. By and large, this button is best described as the action button, and is used to pick up items, open doors, all that kind of stuff. But outside of that, this button changes depending on what game and even character you're playing as. In Devil May Cry 1, all this button does is copy the left button, so it shoots and picks up items. In Devil May Cry 2, it's a dedicated dodge button. However, in Devil May Cry 3 and onwards, this button gets far more complex as it's tied to numerous character-specific actions. For Dante, this button is for his styles. For Nero, it's his buster arm or mechanical arm, depending on whether you're playing Devil May Cry 4 or 5. The best thing to do is let whichever game you're playing explain what this button does itself. Since it changes so often, this isn't the video to go into all that. Now, the last button we're going to be going over is arguably what makes or breaks the entire combat system across all games, and that's the lock-on button, aside to the right bumper by default. As the name implies, this causes you to lock onto the closest enemy to you when you hold the button down, and completely changes how Dante moves and what abilities and attacks he has access to. As you can see, Dante moves much slower while locked on than not, so knowing when to lock on or not will be something you need to build on as you go through the game. While locked on, Dante will always face the locked on enemy, and this is important as many attacks require you to press and hold a directional input, which is relative to the way which way Dante himself is facing, and I see this trip up a lot of new players all the time. Mainly because every single Devil May Cry game explains it badly. Before we dive into Dante's attacks, every Devil May Cry game has a move list which shows you all of Dante's currently unlocked attacks and abilities. This is extremely useful to know, but apart from Devil May Cry 5, all of the other games bury this list in the game menus. It's very worthwhile to have a quick dig around the game menu for whichever Devil May Cry you're playing, just to find this move list, as it will show you all the inputs required to do the specific attacks. Take Dante's iconic attack, Stinger. This move requires you to hold down the lock-on button, press or hold the left stick forward, and then press the melee button to perform the attack. Now, the important part here is where it says forward. Forward in this context means Dante's forward, i.e. the way Dante is currently facing. This means that depending on where the enemy is, and even how the game camera is orientated, Dante's forward is constantly changing. This is also the same for Dante's back and sides, which also have attacks and abilities assigned to them. Another example. In every Devil May Cry game, Dante starts with an attack called High Time, which you perform by holding lock on, pushing the left stick towards Dante's back, and then pressing melee attack. It's a very useful attack as it launches enemies into the air, making them vulnerable and getting them out of your face. You can also hold the melee button, which causes Dante to rise in the air, following the enemy as well. This bit of text here is pure fluff. Dante won't do any follow attacks if you just hold the melee button. You need to perform your own follow-up attacks yourself. Another very useful ability that Dante always has available from the start of every Devil May Cry game is his dodge roll. To perform this, you need to hold the lock-on button, push the left stick to either Dante's left or right side, then press the jump button. It goes without saying, but this is a very useful defensive tool. It keeps Dante on the ground, where he's the most useful, circles around to the enemy's side for easier counterattacks, and Dante is invincible during most of the roll as well. While we're in the move list, some combos don't require locking on and are mostly based around timing. Take combo B here. Why, then, why? This is written awfully. What this combo wants is for you to press the melee button, wait half a second, then press the melee button again to do this combo. Worse is, then you're left wondering what's the third melee button pressed for. Well, it's when Dante does his final hit here. If you press it, you can continue the combo. Luckily, you can mash the melee attack after the first delay and get the full combo every time. And in fact, mashing the button will increase the amount of stabs Dante does, which can be a good or bad thing depending on how many enemies there are around you. While you don't need to lock on for this combo, you can still lock on and do it just fine. Now for some general tips to note as well. You don't need an enemy to do these lock-on attacks or abilities. All you need to do is hold the lock-on button, so you can freely practice all these moves in an empty room in any of the games. Don't touch the left stick without meaning. A very common sticking point for new players that I see is they constantly hold the left stick towards the enemy when attacking. While that won't trip you up if you're not locked on, once you do lock on, and especially after you unlock Stinger and other attacks, you'll start doing attacks that you don't mean to do. So a good tip is to get used to leaving the left stick in the neutral position until you actually want to do a specific attack. It might be a bit weird at first, but you'll get the hang of it in no time. The style meter won't increase if you're constantly repeating moves. You need to mix it up to increase it more, and a good rule of thumb is don't use the same combo or attack until you've used at least 3 other specific combos or attacks. This is incredibly useful to know for Devil May Cry 3 and 4, as there are these specific things called combo adjudicators, which require you to reach specific ranks to get a blue orb fragment. And last but not least, taunting is on this button, wherever it is on your controller. Taunting mid-fight will increase your style meter, and depending on what rank your style meter is on mid-fight, while the enemy is still alive, you'll do different taunts. Always a lot of fun and very stylish.
You look like you just had your ass handed to you.
Now while there's more I can go into, such as using devil trigger or weapon switching, these options aren't always available, and I'm wanting this video to be as universal as possible, as everything I've gone over is applicable to all games right from the start. I hope this video has been useful and a good starting point for anyone new coming in the series. Devil May Cry is a pretty complex game when it comes to its combat, but after enough practice and playing around, you'll soon be doing crazy combos just like the best of it. Thank you very much for watching and keep being stylish.